do one thing amazing for one audience. If the old saying, if everybody's your customer, nobody's your customer.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by Advanced Services and Fuse Networks. My name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
We're coming at you from the Creative Block Studios in Seattle, Washington. So, Joe, we're glad to introduce our guest today, Mr. Joe Rare. Could you please start the formal introduction for Joe?
Yeah. So, Joe Rare is an underground serial entrepreneur, investor, outsourcing expert, father and husband, and learned snowmobiler. He currently owns 4 digital companies, 5 wedding venues, and real estate investment properties. Joe's journey began with a door-to-door product sales business, which grew from a team of 2 to 40 employees in under 2 years. He later sold the company after 27 months.
His passion for sales never dimmed, but he discovered what his life's work would be: building digital businesses. The road was definitely made of dirt and a lot of potholes. There were failed businesses in the early days, but he took the failures and learned to create wins. He has since built multiple 7+ figure companies and built a strong and growing real estate portfolio. Joe focuses on helping small to medium-sized businesses, our core audience, around the world, while working from the comfort of his home in Montana and enjoying big sky country with his family.
All of his companies are fully being run by virtual assistants. So Level 9 Virtual is a virtual assistant agency that has hired and placed over 3,000 VAs and completed over 70,000 products across a variety of niches. This is the mother company that provides VAs who run all of his businesses. Also, Level 9 Virtual is the top VA provider and an official partner to a community of over 7,000 entrepreneurs and agency owners. WeddingBookingSystems.com has become the #1 marketing and sales system in the wedding venue industry. The company has helped more than 270 venues in 11 countries book more weddings and make more profits.
We're not finished yet. So the Engage.app, an incredible all-in-one marketing automation software and mobile app that combines a multitude of software platforms, communication channels, and pulls it all into one place to streamline wedding industry businesses. And lastly, Campground Digital, our brand new, newly launched digital marketing company focused only on serving campgrounds and RV parks. He's an investor and looks to find projects that he can use his marketing leverage to impact growth and profitability. Everyone, please welcome Joe to our podcast.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, that's a heck of an intro. That's what a VA will do if you say, "Hey, write something good."
There you go. So the topic of today's podcast is really how to give business owners more time and money.
Yep.
And we are so pleased that you're able to share some insights from what you've learned to share with fellow entrepreneurs. I know it's a big passion of ours and yours. But before we start, we like to get to know our guests a little more. So we ask 3 questions. Joe, do you want to start?
Actually,
please?
Before I ask you the first question, I'm curious to know, how did Level 9 start?
Well, let's see. I hired my first virtual assistant in November of 2008, and I've had at least one working with me every single day since. And so it's a pretty long time to be really dedicated to that space. And then one of my virtual assistants said, "Hey, you do know that you keep telling everybody how to go get VAs and hire VAs, and you keep telling everybody to do it. You do know you could build a business out of it." And I said, "Well, that's not what I'm really interested in doing right now, but if you guys will run it, then I'll basically support it." And so they came with a plan, decided that we should start this business. And the next thing you know, we had clients. And so we had a decent amount of clients. Then I had an agency that I was running, and we ended up closing it down for a multitude of reasons I'm sure we could talk about in a little while. And then when I relaunched that company in the niche, the wedding industry niche, when we relaunched that business, I went from essentially I had one client when I relaunched. So we shut everything down, got rid of every client we had except for one. and that was in the wedding industry. And we went from basically $3,000 a month to $109,000 a month in 4 months in revenue.
Wow.
Just using a couple VAs, and that was that. And then, I said, I can do the exact same thing with the virtual assistant business. So let's go do that. And then we did that, and that company grew.
Amazing. So since you've been in business working with VA since 2008, then what are some early lessons learned as an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh. The early lessons is failure. Failure's okay. Failure is encouraged. Go make mistakes. Go figure it out. One of the earliest things that I try to do in anything that we get involved in and that we start is actually ask people to pay you for the thing that you're trying to do. A lot of people, they'll spend so much time trying to beautify everything, trying to create everything and do all of this stuff. What they won't do is actually just go ask somebody for money and make sure that what they're going to be selling is viable and somebody will pay for it. So they build all this stuff and then they try to figure out how to sell it later. And I do the opposite. I'm like, hey, let's go make some money. Let's figure out if this is really a thing. When we have clients and people are paying for the service, then we go, okay, great. We should probably give it a name. And we should probably brand it, and we should probably create the business around it. And so I'm really keen on leveraging ideas, going for it, expecting the failures that are going to come. And then, but you're going to learn so much more just by going out and screwing up.
Since you're such a seasoned entrepreneur, what's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Wait, sorry. Ask that question again. I apologize. I had a kid walking.
So what is the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Oh, geez. If it's for business, it's going to be one service, one niche. Do one thing amazing for one audience. Mm-hmm. If the old saying, if everybody's your customer, nobody's your customer. And that's the reality. And I think that if the reason that I believe that we became very, very successful in the wedding industry was, and actually this ties into that exact same thing. So I had a mentor who basically advised me to shut down the agency that I closed and go all in on the wedding industry. And the way he actually advised me was he asked me a simple question. Out of all of the clients that you have, if you're hanging out with your kids and they called you on a Sunday, every client called you, who would you pick up the phone for? And I thought, well, one, and it was the guy who owned the wedding venue who, in hindsight, he was a friend of mine. So that kind of worked out. But that was a very interesting thing because all I did is I went through this thought process. This person's going to be complaining. They're going to have, they're whining about something else. There's an issue. There's a fire. There's this. Nobody's contacting you and asking you anything or talking about anything positive. They're going to contact you for a fire, for something negative. And I thought, you know what? The only person that I would reach out to or that I would pick up the phone for would be the wedding venue owner, because I know things are going unbelievably well. And he would call to ask me how I'm doing, which is completely different, Yeah. And so I thought, well, shoot, okay, I guess that's the niche that I should probably consider. And so that's how we ended up kind of choosing to move forward in the wedding industry.
Okay. So next question for us is, because we're a marketing company, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs want to know from every different business owner, in your opinion, why is marketing important?
Well, you don't have any business if you're not marketing. Now, I would say that marketing comes secondary to being able to sell. Mm-hmm. But marketing is the way that you get yourself in front of an opportunity to sell. And it's as simple as that. If you are not putting out content or ads, something so that somebody can see you, you have to take the unknown and turn it into the known. Right. And your product, your service right now is completely unknown. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what you can do, what you can offer, how you can create benefit, and how you can provide value for their business. If you are not marketing and sharing that story and the why, the benefits, then your business is dead. And so sales, I believe, is hands down the most important skill set, but you'd have zero sales opportunities without marketing. Right. And so even the idea of just like, hey, let me go through my phone and let me just to like send messages to every single person that I could possibly send a message to. That's marketing. That's lead generation, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is make sure that we understand what is marketing. Well, there you go. It's anything that puts your business in front of your potential audience.
Coming to our part of our podcast, our advanced services pump you up quote of the day. I asked Joe to share a quote, and then I'll read it and get his thought. So I help businesses outsource for more profit and absolute freedom. So for some business owners, outsource is a relatively new thing that, they always talk about, I'm going to grow a business. Let me employ local people. But this outsource thing, why is that quote important for you and the passion you have for helping business owners?
Well, there's a couple reasons behind it, but one of them includes the fact that most small businesses can't hire local. They just don't have the ability. They don't have the funds, and the financial resources to do it. Everybody knows how hard it is to hire local. It's really, really difficult on a couple areas. Cost, all of the taxes that you have to pay and the workers' comp and all of those things, right? They just continue to stack and they get more and more expensive. So it's very challenging when it comes just to that idea. The other thing, and I believe I shared this with you guys previously, was if, for example, I'm outside of Bozeman, Montana. Inside our entire valley, there's less than 100,000 people here. Yep. Right. So the town of Bozeman has like 55,000 people, maybe max. And that's it. Right. If I want somebody who is a specialist, as an example, in AI prompt engineering,
good luck.
The likelihood I can hire somebody in this region for specifically that is almost zero.
Yep.
Correct.
So I have to outsource.
Yep.
And then, so my method is to outsource overseas for cost leverage. You can also get people with higher education for a far better price than necessarily just hiring local. Right. And so those are a couple of the areas where if you're a small business and you're getting going, every dollar matters. And keeping yourself in the black, making profit, it matters. And one of the hardest things to do is to hire staff, local, maintain the staff, find the right skill set at the highest level possible for a price that you can actually afford that will allow your company to grow. And, so then if you have to let somebody go, I mean, you're in a world of argument that could turn into legal and could go all these sideways directions if it doesn't work out. If you're going overseas or you're doing things that are contract based, you can cut ties anytime you need to if it does or doesn't work out. Small investment, huge upside. So those are a few of the reasons.
Yeah, because I think the big thing that people want to grasp is like quality of work. So you're saying you get just as qualified a person overseas for a fraction of the cost. And if it's about staying in the black, you want to control your costs without lower service quality, within your organization. So
and so I mean, I always use this example when people worry about quality and they worry about how much skill somebody has. My lead developer on my team has a master's degree and he's a professor at a university. I'm a college dropout. So he beats me every day, all day. And what he can accomplish, I've watched him beat out and do things faster with better quality than people here who are getting paid a couple $100,000 a year to do projects. They're doing $70,000, $80,000 websites, and he knocks it out and it doesn't cost a fraction. And so I would challenge anybody to be concerned with the education level, the skill level, the experience level. You can buy experience. That's the best part, right? It just may cost a few bucks more. So that's what we do.
I also like the VA aspect of it too, is because you're paying people for the work that they're actually doing versus sitting in an office doing no tasks, correct?
Right. Yeah. So now we eliminate your overhead, right? So now, that desk space per unit has a cost to it. That computer that you have to provide them. Let's not get into the fact that you need an ergonomically correct chair, right? That may cost you $400 because somebody has a bad back. Next thing you know, you got a workers' comp issue. You've got all of that stuff is just absolutely mind numbing to me. And I'm not interested in it. I did it, didn't enjoy it, had a bad experience. And so I've never gone back. So there we go.
All right. So let's move forward. Our Fuse Networks Did You Know segment.
78% of ransomware demands start right here in the office. How are you protecting your business internally and externally against cybercrime? Call Fuse Networks, your local Seattle IT experts at 206-701-6040 for a complimentary vulnerability assessment to see where your business risks are and help your company fight cybercrime.
So there's a couple myths I want to shoot your way. I'll read them out and then we'll kind of debunk them. So this first myth: AI can replace human intelligence completely. So there's a big buzz with AI. Again, something a lot of business owners, people in general, don't understand. Talk to us about that, Joe.
So it's funny that this is coming up because the reality is that, I just had this conversation literally earlier today. All AI requires input, right? So if you are not phenomenal at prompts, input, then you're going to get nothing good out the back end. So number one, who's going to prompt it? AI isn't prompting itself. So you got to have a human being who's really good at engineering good prompts to create the inputs so that you can get fantastic outputs. So that's the first thing. So all it's going to do is it's going to transform who somebody is or the skill set that is necessary into something else. But the other side of it is AI can't have experiences. So at the end of the day, show me any AI tool yet. Now, again, we'll see what comes. Show me any AI tool yet that can emotionally connect with another human being. And if anybody understands anything about sales or marketing, how do you connect with other people? You connect through emotion, through experiences, through storytelling, right? The only thing AI can do is go get stories that have already been told or already been documented and retell it, but then it's not authentic. Our human experiences are the one thing that AI can never take away and that it could never replace. And so when you stand in front of people and you tell stories, those stories, unless they're documented, AI can't touch it. And those stories are unbelievably important in so many aspects of life: marketing, sales, raising children, relationships, all of these different things. There's so much value in those things and they can't be replaced by AI.
Well, it's funny too, because like websites, people talk, or agencies talk about like the customer experience. They're trying to create those digitally. So like website design is, you're almost doing a false reality of what your reality used to be. I mean, like when we were kids, you know, like you have these core memories, but now almost it's AI, like artificially generated experiences, you know, the transfer of emotion, where the buying cycle is almost different. So we have to play that game as marketers, but appreciate your insight on that. This next myth, Joe, do you want to read this one? We just talked about this, but
we talked about it, but we'll talk about it again. Remote work means less productivity.
It's just not. Look, I think it depends. So this is a tough one. Some businesses in, you know, we'll use the United States as the example. In the United States, saw a decrease in productivity when they let their people go home. Other businesses saw an increase in productivity. They got more done in less time. Now, maybe the output is still the same, but the actual amount of time it required to do it was different because they could just sit down, do it. There was no chit chat. There were no stupid meetings that they had to walk to and do these other things. A lot of it just, all it did is condense, you know, that hour, that 1 unit of time. They could get more done in that 1 unit of time.
Yeah.
You can get both. You can argue both ends of the spectrum. When somebody only works from home and they don't go into an office and they don't have that experience anyway, like the majority of our VAs, they don't know any different. All they know is that I have a unit of output that has to be created over a period of time and I have to do it. And if I don't do it, there's a consequence. And if we just hold that to them, the output is the same or better. And I would argue better than most people in an office. I mean, if you look at the statistics of what the actual work hours are inside an office, it's awful. And to imagine that desk space costs money for every single person, that computer, that ergonomic chair, the whole thing. And for their units of output, it's far less than what we have when somebody's sitting at home, they're working their hours. They know that they have units of output that have to be created in a certain period of time. Otherwise, there's a consequence. They get their stuff done.
Right.
So I argue against it, but I understand what people's fear is with it.
I mean, because what you're saying is it's almost like it's a black and white issue. There's no gray area when
Correct.
When you're hard to do a task, like I need to do these 3 tasks during this time set. I need to get it done. There's no like distractions or anything. That's kind of what they don't know. They don't know. So you don't know what Sally did on the weekend or little Johnny's soccer game.
Right.
Squash that. You're just focusing on the task.
Because I think as a VA position, if you're doing those tasks, let's say you're doing 4 units in a day or 4 hours in a day, it really doesn't make a difference when you do them, correct? So if you need to take the time out to go take your children to school, or you need to take them to an event, and then you come home, then you work after that, as long as the job's getting done.
Unless there's a deadline, I think, right?
Yeah, and so it depends on the role. Some roles are like, hey, I need you for 4 hours straight. That's fine. Others are, you can have a flexi, you can go take your kids to school, come back and get the stuff done. That's great. And they have the ability to do those things depending on what position, or what role they're with. We have people who do that all the time. Hey, I've got an appointment that's going to come up in 2 days and I'm going to be gone for 2 hours. I'll come back and do makeup work, makeup hours. Yeah. Great. And guess what? Their output's still the same. And so,
So this last one is a word that's said a lot. And I'll read it and want to get your thought. Sustainability is too expensive. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Joe.
Too expensive. That's, I disagree. I think that, I guess it depends on the context. They're trying to use the word sustainability. Are you talking about being able to maintain your staff? Are you talking about maintaining margin?
I'll read this statement and get a thought. So another myth is that adopting sustainable business practices is costly. While there may be initial investments, many sustainable practices can lead to long-term cost savings through efficiency, improved brand reputation. So I think it's what it's trying to say is, I don't know, people pay for something that they can't touch almost. And they see like, oh, a VA is X amount an hour, $60, $80 an hour. Like I could hire someone for $20 an hour. So I think that's where that sustainability is. I can't afford it long-term. I'd rather hire, again, that local, thought process. So,
yeah, I don't know. I think it's a combination of how you look at sustainability, number one, but how you create leverage. So processes, systems, to create so the way that I would look at it is to create a sustainable business, in my mind, requires the upfront investment of more time than money, both in training people, getting them good at what they're doing, no matter what the price point is that you hire somebody for. So making that first investment, if you pay somebody a very high rate, but you don't allow them to be indoctrinated into your business well, you don't have a good onboarding process, you don't have a good training process, you don't have a good cultural development process, you don't have any of that stuff built into your business, you're going to have turnover and nothing's going to be sustainable. You're not going to have any staff, retention. Same thing goes with your sales process and your, even your customer journey. I would rather invest the time on the front end with technology and with processes and systems and the right staff in the right places on the front end to give you that longevity to where that the same path is going to be followed every single time. It's going to be an identical process. Everybody's going to get the same quality of service. And all of those things can be carried out over the life of the company. I think that investment on the front end sounds expensive, probably.
Right.
But if you were to actually break it down over time, I'll bet you it's way less expensive than the inverse. I think the inverse has a higher turnover. It's probably got more churn when it comes to clients and keeping people around. And so I think that the cost, if you look at opportunity costs, you look at retention loss, I think all of those things have such a higher impact than the upfront time cost, money cost to actually build something sustainable, long-term, better processes, systems, all that. That'd be my input.
All right. So let's get into it a little bit more with kind of our audience, right? Our entrepreneurs and small businesses out there listening, how to give business owners more time and money. So it sounds great, but for a business owner that's new to this, that kind of can't grasp this, what are one or two things you could share to either get started, consider this as a serious option? What would you say to those business owners out there listening?
Well, start to evaluate what you do on a daily basis that somebody else could do. Now, that thing could be something that's uncomfortable. Like, I love pushing people to get out of their own email inbox. This is something that people can't even fathom as a reality.
No, they can't. So
it is the funniest thing to me, because then I like to take people and, I've been doing a little bit of coaching lately, and some of the things that I get into, I say, okay, share with me one thing that has come through your inbox that has made a financial impact that has changed your life. And everybody's silent. There's nothing.
Yep. They're thinking, right? They're trying to process.
All the big stuff doesn't come through your email inbox, but the fires do. All of the negativity, all of the distractions, all of the nonsense comes through your email inbox. There is almost no good news coming through your email. So I challenge people to get rid of the things that take your attention. Your email takes an enormous amount of attention. And one of the things we did is I said, okay, how long does it take you to just say, oh, ping, there's a new email. Oh, let me go check it. They go look at it. Then it's like, oh, well, hold on. I need to respond to it. Okay. So then they respond. Oh, wait, there's that other one that's unread. Let me check that one. The next thing you know, 30, 45, 50 minutes went by, and they fell off the wagon from the very narrow task that they were supposed to be accomplishing. So now what should have already been done doesn't get done. It gets pushed to tomorrow. The energy behind that thing doesn't get accomplished. So I would challenge anybody with that one thing. Can you get out of your email inbox? And if it's super uncomfortable, like it was for me when I first did it, the way I have people do it is I say, look, we all have a bunch of email inboxes, right? We don't have just one. We have a bunch. So find the one that's like the least personal and just start with that one. So support@level9virtual.com. Most of the stuff that comes through there is identical. Most of it. There's a few outliers. So great. VA, organize this inbox into a way that makes sense. Create sub accounts, folders, all that other stuff. And then let's create rules and let's do this right. So we do that. Great. We look at it. Okay, great. This makes sense. Awesome. Now let's move up to one layer more complicated. And then we go do the same thing. Okay. How painful was it? Did you die? No, you didn't. Nothing got missed. And then you just figure out what your process is going to be for, how are you going to have them prioritize all your messaging and everything else? Well, I have them give it to me in Slack every day. I get one notification. Hey, here's all the stuff that's come in so far. I get another one at the end of the day. These require your attention. These ones are just there. Not sure what to do with these. The rest of it's been handled. And over time, they learn how to communicate on your behalf so that they just do it for you. And so that's one thing. But where I have everybody start is with the VA that can do that, but we call them a get shit done VA. And what I mean by that is all the nonsense in your life, have them do it. If somebody wants to take your time and schedule your time, it has to go through the VA. So on this podcast, I did not communicate with you guys. My VAs did. They communicated on my behalf as me communicating to you. So when you guys were texting today, you caught my personal cell phone. So I responded to that. Yeah. Right. And so that was me personally. And I was like, oh, now my wife's driving me nuts. And so good Lord. And so I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to be able to text me right now. But so for the most part, my inbox, even if you text through our business, it's going to go through VAs. It's not going to come directly to me. And I think if people can get just that minute, all the minutia, get that stuff out of your day, you'll have so much more free time. That would be the first thing. And the second thing is I would say, what do you do on a daily basis in your business that doesn't generate revenue? If you're the business owner, your job is to grow the business. So get out of all the other stuff. Have VAs do it, outsource it, have teammates do it, whatever that might be. So that's where I would say start. Get shit done VA, get out of your inbox, and then stop doing things that don't produce income.
So for our audience out there, fellow small business owners, entrepreneurs who want to get started, like with Level 9, tell everyone how to, like, is there an onboarding form? Like some people may not know, do I need you for 2 hours, 10 hours, 20? Where do they get started if they want to work with you guys?
Yeah. So we offer kind of two core main services. Number one is our dedicated virtual assistants. I want somebody in my business working with me daily. That's a dedicated person. You can hire them part-time or you can hire them full-time. You can go to level9virtual.com. So it's level number 9virtual.com. Go to the website. You can just click literally get started. You can book a call with our team. Super easy to figure all this stuff out. We break down everything in there. There's part-time and full-time. The other core service that we have is what we call our pods, projects on demand. You can literally say, hey, I want to buy a block of hours and I just want to unload projects on you. I've got a graphic design task I need done. I need a video edited for social media. I need help with my CRM. I need a workflow built out, landing pages, a website design, whatever it might be. There's lots of stuff you can do. You can just buy blocks of hours, and just like using like Upwork or Fiverr, the only difference is that you've got a block of hours to use with people who do this every single day. We've done way past what you guys have on there, which is 160,000 projects. So you guys, I think, had 70,000. We've exploded that since. We've done more projects than I can even fathom. And we do them every single day. So when, with going to Upwork, going to Fiverr, going to these places, you have to kind of test people out and figure out, can they do what I'm asking? Is the quality right? Well, you don't have to. We've done so many projects for so many agencies, for so many small businesses. There's nothing that we can't accomplish. So that one's great because you can buy 25-hour blocks that you can use over an entire month. You can buy a 40-hour block. You can use it over an entire month, and you can submit as many tasks as you want. And when you run out of hours, we just let you know and say, hey, do you want to add some more? And you say, yep, let's keep going. And then you just keep adding your tasks. Super
Awesome.
easy. Yeah.
One last question for you. Of
Okay.
all the companies, this is the nitty gritty. Of all the companies that you have built, which one has been your favorite one to build and why?
Oh, man. I like the new thing. So for me, my biggest challenge is that I love 0 to 1. That's my favorite part of building a business. I got really good at handing the companies off and letting other people run them because I don't enjoy the long-term operation. I like advising in the business. And so for me, my companies are run by virtual assistants, and I become a strategic advisor and an investor. And so I get to say, hey, I want the company to go here. I want it to accomplish these things. We have resources we're willing to allocate. My team comes back with a plan. Great. We're going to allocate these resources, go execute. And then we do those monthly, quarterly, whatever's necessary. But building a new business from 0 to 1, I have an idea. I'm going to go ask somebody for money and see if they'll give me money for it. And if they do, and we get enough of it and it looks like something's going to be real, then we say, okay, great. Let's build a brand around it and let's build a business and let's go. So we just launched a company. So your intro, I actually got to make sure they update this. The intro being 4 digital businesses. It's now 6. We launched a trucking dispatching company where we have our team in the Philippines. They actually dispatch for truckers and book trucking loads and all that stuff. So we do that. We launched that business, became profitable month 1. It was fun. Then we passed that off. Recently, over the past kind of 90, I think we're at 96 days, we launched visitormatch.com, which is identity resolution. Anonymous website visitors hit your website. You don't know who they are. We match them to profiles, and then we run them through these fantastic marketing campaigns to engage them, get them involved. This one's fun because it's the first business that I'm building using affiliates and affiliate partners and really building this big partnership where the entire company is going to scale because of partners. And we went from 0 to essentially $100,000 a month in like 40 days. And now now we've got over 100 clients and, we're cruising. And so this one's kind of been the most fun because it's so different than the way that I've done the traditional marketing. You got to put out content and you got to run ads and you got to sell and do sales calls and all those things. This thing is just very much affiliate driven. And when I mean affiliates, I don't mean like, hey, here's your link, go talk to, go do your thing. I mean, like we're more channel partners, and we're actually developing partnerships where people have relationships with us and we're working with big communities of people. And it's been really, really cool. So that one's fun. Visit thematch.com.
So it's almost like you like being the fire starter, and then once the fire gets going, you start off. Before we close, Joe, one quick word on our hashtag Valor Cares initiative, please.
Sweet. So if you have a business and you need a website, we would love to we'd love to just build a website for you for free.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's our way of giving back, right?
Yep.
So, well, on behalf of our sponsors, A Advanced Services and Fuse Networks, my name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
And Joe, our guest, man, it was great. We could talk forever. Love your energy, love your passion, love what you're doing. Hopefully some of our clients or audience could maybe reach out to you if they need help there, but great insight. Coming at you from the Creative Block Studios in Seattle, Washington. Thanks for watching and listening to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.